Vasquez.
You know, this feels like a holiday treat for me because one of my beloved friends and one of the funniest humans I know, and smartest and insightful and just all around, kind of soothing. Is that okay, Dwayne Kennedy, for me to say you're soothing?
Yeah, I'm a soothing guy.
I think because we have such deep ties. We've known each other for 30 years, and I think that's also something, like, I love coming back to somebody who's known me for so long.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? We've known each other for...
Yeah, now through this.
Yeah. The apocalypse?
Yeah, man. Oh, boy.
Okay, so Dwayne has not joined us since before. He left the day before the election, or the day of the election.
The day of. I flew out to Brooklyn Tuesday morning, early, like 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
I was going to be there to bring in democracy.
So at what time did you find out that was not going to happen?
You know what? I got a bad feeling... Early.
Yeah.
Early. First it was like, well, you know what? That's how it goes. And then, what is it? The fake red, the red mirage. And
yes.
Then she'll rally. And then I said, oh, man. And then he won this state. And then that one, I don't think she's going to rally.
No, she did not. I was drifting off. I did not. I was about to try to fall asleep. And then I saw Pennsylvania fall, like around, I want to say it was around midnight or so. And then what I've talked about is I was like, okay, I gotta prepare for what's going to happen next. But trying to imagine what's going to happen next is paralyzing. Like, I can't. So I immediately started making phone calls the next day. I called my friend Sean Allen at Union Proud Warrior because we had talked he had been at the event we did on election night.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So we were talking about, because he's been saying, and he's very, passionate about the issues for labor and says, we've got to get, workers united. It doesn't matter what gender, what race,
right.
what your background is. He's like, I'm not here for your feelings. I'm here for your future. Is very straightforward about it. So we've met twice so far trying to, guys, I don't know what to, despair is not an option for me.
No.
It pops up.
Right. But you can't let that stop you.
No.
Because, life goes on. It goes on whether you do anything or not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so I've been trying to make connections with folks and see what, what their plans are, how they're gearing up to, keep working with each other. I do need to go back to Wisconsin and see my friends in Walworth. And
oh, man.
I know. Just so you know, in case you haven't followed it, there were over 100,000 new volunteers that came to Wisconsin from either from within or from all over the country. By the end of the campaign, I had met people from San Jose, California, from Boston, from Oregon. They were coming from all over the country to Walworth, Wisconsin, to Kenosha, to Racine. Yeah. And so, so we were able to, the swing towards red, where Trump gained a lot of ground, was about 6% in a lot of states like Pennsylvania, Michigan, like a lot of those swing states, North Carolina, 1.5%. I think it's going down. I think the final number was less than 1.5 in Wisconsin. We were able to help break their Republican supermajority in their state capital. We helped hold on to Tammy Baldwin's Senate seat. So it shows that the ground game, while it wasn't the success we had hoped for, but it also showed that split ticket voting, which is just maddening. I mean, what?
And then when you hear that, and now I don't know which particular group of Latinos, but 54% of Latinos, again, I don't know which Latino group it was, but voted for Trump, and 55% white women. And it's like, man, you know, and when you hear, how the sexism is deep amongst ethnic and gender, it's deep with women,
but not as deep in the black community.
No,
nowhere close.
No.
Not even nowhere close. I mean,
black folks,
the uptick was slight. As far as, moving towards Trump, I think it was like by 8% or something.
Yeah.
But not.
Minimal. I mean, as far as, yes, the substantial number of black folks still voted for Kamala.
Yes. Yeah.
Women and men.
And Democrats in general. No, not splitting the ticket or any of that. Yeah.
I don't get it, man. If it's now, I don't want to start sounding like the Republicans did. If it's legitimate, because you hear all the stories. Now I sent you a story, or maybe you had already read that story.
Yeah, I just Oh, it might have been. Yeah, and here's the thing: we also roll over. We don't want to be the ones that sound like it's a conspiracy. We don't want to be the ones that are whining. We don't want to be the ones that say it's illegitimate. We always do that, even though in 2000 with Gore, like people always talk about being salty about Hillary. I'll be salty for the rest of my life about 2000 and Gore v. Bush. Because it was like less than 1,000 votes in Florida that made the difference and they stopped the count. I think it was like less than 700.
Right. Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. And it was Sandra Day O'Connor who whipped the votes on the Supreme Court to make that ruling, to stop the count, because she didn't want to have Al Gore as the president. So that's,
man, yeah.
It's fun. My son, as you know, is well versed in a lot of moments in history, and he was reading a book about 2000, and he asked me what it was like. I'm like, oh my God, I'm a historical reference.
It's like in your day, the year 2000.
Well, and that was something that struck me the day after the election is that I've been talking about politics not on stage, right? As a comic, it was just not my strength as far as like I still
mine either, and to me,
I'm interested. Yeah,
it's boring.
Yeah,
it's essential in life.
Sure,
but to just. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just not something I've wanted to do. I started out wanting to, and just finding being autobiographical was what I was stronger at, because stupid, crazy things happen all the time. I tell people I'm not a comedy writer, I'm a comedy reporter. So, like things I've got to tell strangers how stupid this person was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I realized the day after the election, even though I've been doing this for a long time, it's going to be it's the challenge. Like it's exhausting to keep holding up the light to say this is wrong. What is happening? That human rights are important, and we do have to keep fighting. I will not consent to people being ramshot over. And and I do. The announcement yesterday that he made that he's going to impose tariffs, 25% tariffs on Mexico and Canada. Is just, do you know how much of our produce comes from Mexico? And people, well, I guess they only complained about eggs. So I guess that's why they don't care as much about their avocados. I don't know. I don't
know either. Well, coupled with the tariffs, and then you're going to do mass deportations.
I don't think he is.
I don't really think so either.
And you know why? Is the really wealthy, whether it's land developers, there's commercial developers, the corporate agricultural industry, they don't want to pay people what they're worth.
Right.
They are always they have deep pockets, and they'll throw it at Trump to just make it look like he's being mean and rounding people up. People will suffer. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to be the 10 to 13 million people. One, the cost of it is prohibitive.
Right.
That's right at the door is too much money.
And if that were actually the case, then this economy would collapse.
Right. Which is maybe is what they want to do, so that we're all desperate and standing in bread lines. I mean, like that's what Russia did to their people.
Yeah, I mean, it could be trying to drive everybody into the legal system, trying to create customers for the legal system.
Exactly. Oh, boy. We hadn't really thought that part out yet to say out loud, have we?
What? So I don't know, Patty. I had to just come and because I got to town last week. I said, man, I should call Patty. I should let Patty know I'm back in town.
But you want to take it? I mean, we're not ready.
But the fact that you had to be on the next day, right? So you've been doing this. I can't be a punk.
I took 2 days off last week.
Okay.
I did. I took last Monday and last Friday off.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, but still. But you're here.
Yes. And I will be here. I'm going to continue. I mean, whether it's here or wherever I can, my big mouth is able to broadcast, I'll be there.
Yeah. How many people you think at this very station voted for Trump?
At the station?
Yeah.
Honestly, I know that you think there was somebody who might not have, but I do think that because I talked to a few people that were on location that night that seemed devastated, that seemed really surprised.
Yeah.
And upset. So,
okay.
Yes.
All right. They better have been.
They were. Yes.
Giving them the look.
Yeah, they did not call her a thug. That's all I'm saying.
Oh.
They didn't say that.
Okay.
It's not any language like that was used.
Okay.
Yeah. But I you trying to get me in trouble? What just happened?
I'm just asking.
I just got poked. I will say this. I was talking before the show started about the fill-in host for Joan. We're talking about the misogyny in this country, and I was feeling a certain way the day of and the day after the election about my life, and I think a lot of women experience this and are really reflecting on the toxic environments we have had to sort of navigate through our entire lives. I mean, for me, sexual harassment or lowering expectations for what I can accomplish has been there for as long as I can remember. I mean, I was the only girl on a baseball team. I remember the boys, I got to practice one day and they all took their mitts off and started throwing with their catching hands. And they were like, we throw like you, Patti, right? Like with the limp wrist and all that stuff. So before we go to the break though, because something great happened with that memory, because I was thinking about, all the way back to then, the sexual harassment I've been through and abuse and all that kind of stuff and bookings. You and I have talked about what it's like to be a person of color and a woman. Yeah. And both of us have run in that wall of resistance for us to be headliners. So a few months ago, Adam Selzer, who does the cemetery tours, you've met Adam. He's written a book on Graceland, and he was talking about there's a new memorial to Minnie Minoso. Okay. Minnie Minoso, who played for the White Sox, I think for every
5 decades,
something like that. Yeah. And we were on Whiskey and a Cookie, which I broadcast every Friday. And he mentioned that. I was like, oh, and I totally forgot about the story. I go, I have a Minnie Minoso story. And when I was 10 years old, this was my second season playing at Norwood Park, Minnie Minoso came to our park and signed autographs. And everyone was really excited, and I was like a professional ball player. He was, it was legendary. Also, I believe he was he Cuban? I think he was Cuban, yes. And so, he was a migrant, like all these different things. So I was really excited. And all the kids were around him. We all had they'd given us baseball cards for an autograph, just a black and white sort of, with him with a baseball bat. And you can tell I'm a lefty. And he reached over. I'll never forget this. All of us were around him, and he saw me, and he pointed at me, and he said, "Give me your card." And he said, "Don't ever let them tell you can't play."
Oh, wow.
And I found the card today.
Oh, man.
I was so excited because Adam added me to his tour. When he goes to Graceland, he tells that story about Minnie Minoso and me, and now I have the proof of it. And so
that's cool.
He might add it to his book. I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
You need to be in somebody's book, Patti.
But thank you. Well, I have to write my own book. I think that's the thing. But I talk often about the trauma and the hardships of the work I've done, but I have to remember those moments of the people who encourage you, because how else do we get through this next 30 years? Right. Because we think about this as the next election, and you guys, this is a lot of work. I hate to tell you this, but this is a lot of work until the day I die. Yeah. Yeah, because, he did some things that were still a problem to this day. And now to get back in there and do some things that might be irreparable. Yeah. Well, and that's what makes me just so enraged, I guess. So frustrated is probably maybe better about the lack of historical cognizance of what, because, and look, I'm not saying all of this originates just with Reagan, but so much of what we're still dealing with when it comes to labor rights, when it comes to dealing even with the pandemic and the way he dismissed AIDS, the way we politicize something, whether it's COVID or AIDS, we still are grappling with that. Yeah. And the people don't have that historical memory of how Reagan decimated the working class by lowering taxes on billionaires and corporations. It was at 75%. Destroying unions. Yeah. And the growth of, we were talking about this a little while ago, 40% of Americans are fighting over 6% of the country's wealth. And that I believe has a direct relation to Ronald Reagan. Yeah, yeah. So you think about that from 1980 to 1988. And so now here we are in 2024. That's still what we're working with. Right. And so now you want to make that even worse for us? How much are we're going to be fighting over 4%, 3%?
Right, or just until society collapses, you know.
You really kind of already gamed that out for us, and I'm not terrified. Let's take a break here. I'm going to drink some water. Before we do, let me just tell you, I talked about this last week. So the day after the election, I walked 10 miles the day after the election. I walked to my friend's house, and then she was busy during a meeting, so I just kept walking. Yeah. Okay, you know what? I'm going to go long in this segment. Sorry, I didn't mean to get everybody ready for a break. So I walked to TJ Maxx, just wandered around, and you know how people were like buying these huge, like, this is not a Stanley Cup, but like last year, everyone was like in a race to buy these huge, ridiculous cups, right? So this is like $12. The other ones are like $40, $60 for something like this. I know it's crazy, but I saw this and it was pink and it was glittery, and I now call it my emotional support cup.
Awesome. Yeah.
It's water. I swear to God, it's water this time.
Yeah.
But so I walked back to my friend's house. We hung out, and I walked back home all the way from her house, and I was crossing the bridge on Foster Avenue, and these two beautiful girls, right? Really cute. They were have to be about 20 years old because that's the age. Wearing white shirts and on their little bikes. And I looked and I could see the black badges, and I was like, "Are you kidding me? The Mormons found me on a bridge just walking by myself."
They were Mormon?
The Mormons rolled up.
Oh boy!
Dwayne, the Mormons rolled up on me, right?
Yeah.
Seriously, they rolled up on me, and they were like, "Is there anything we can do?" I must have looked like distraught. Yeah. I just walked 10 miles in the wind. And I turned around and I saw them. I swear, I just started laughing because I was like, my mind, I'm like, how did you know I was out here, right? Because I'm a Mormon. I was baptized Mormon.
Yeah, you were saying.
And my brothers always told me, like, you don't leave the Mormon church. And like when Griffin was born, 2 or 3 days after he was born, they rang the bell at our house. Like, I think that there's like a record keeping, and so they rang the bell. Then these two guys were on my porch and they asked me, "Is there anything we can do to help?" Right? I was in my robe. Wow. I at least put Griffin down after I was breastfeeding, and I was like, "What? You're not the UPS with some cool gift for my son?" So they rolled up on me, and I just started laughing because I'm like, "Are you kidding me?"
They said we know a potential customer when we see one,
right?
Yeah.
And I just started laughing, and the thing is, because I do material about it, like, it's so fresh to me what it was like to be a Mormon. Even though I stopped when I was 10, I said to them, I've been through the program, right? And I go, I was baptized already, and they go, "Oh," and they got really excited, like they found a kindred spirit. And I go, no, don't get excited. I said,
you were a Mormon until you were 10?
I never told you this story.
I know you told me you were a Mormon, but I didn't know for that long. Yeah,
so that's as I told them. I said to them, I go, "Yeah, I was baptized when I was 10, and let me tell you something. If you're going to drown a girl, tell her to hold her nose." True story. The reason I stopped being a Mormon, so you work with your Mormon missionary. You're supposed to get baptized in the Mormon church at the age of reason, and they decided for me it was 10 that I was ready to be baptized. Some of the things I'll always remember as well is that, my missionaries were very handsome. I was 10 years old. I kind of had a crush on one of them. Like, it was weird. It's weird.
It helps recruiting.
It does.
Yeah.
I mean, these girls were. I'm telling you. Like, really beautiful.
Yeah, Mormonism. I'm all about it.
I'm telling you. So I remember the Mormon that I had the crush on. Like, he had his arm around me and he was talking to me and he was telling me, because my mom had converted to Mormonism in Mexico. My dad was a latent Catholic, so he was just like, when the missionaries used to come over, my dad would answer the door. And I know, but we don't like the language of it. But he used to open the door in a wife beater, like, a tank top and boxers, with a bottle of Jack Daniels and a bottle of Cuervo. Right, one in each hand, and because he knew they didn't drink, and he liked to tease them. He'd be like, "What'll it be, boys?"
That's funny.
So, in the weeks leading up to my baptism, like, they show you these films and slideshows about Joseph Smith and how the angel Moroni came to him and brought these golden plates, and he wrote the Book of Mormon and all this stuff. But they told me that if I didn't get baptized and my parents died, I would not be able to spend eternity with them. Now, when you're 10 years old, the idea, right? I want to be with my mommy and daddy.
That scares the heck out of you.
So I was okay, let's do it. And in the Mormon church, they don't have a public ceremony. It's just you and your missionary. Yeah, okay. I had a little locker room. I got my robe and my Mormon underwear, and I'll show you the picture when we go to the break. But it was kind of like this little, like, there's steps leading you, kind of walk towards each other into a pool, like a tiled pool, and he's saying all this stuff, and like, I really thought I was going to feel like the Holy Spirit, like I was waiting for this experience, right? And he's saying all this stuff, and my back was on his forearm, and he took my forehead and he bent me backwards over his forearm, and I was like,
Oh boy!
And I came up, and he did it like 2 more times, like fast.
Jeez.
And I was like choking on the water.
Oh my goodness!
I know, and I was like, I felt so like I felt betrayed.
Yeah.
Like that hurt.
Yeah.
Like that was scary for me.
Yeah.
So I never went back.
He wasn't up on his baptism game.
I was out.
He must have been new.
So, and it's so out of context for these poor girls who like were just trying to, have a conversation with me. I'm like, tell a girl to hold her nose.
Yeah.
They're like, what? I don't understand what just happened.
Yeah, well, that's good to know, though. You need to know that, man. You could kill somebody.
I feel like trying to find them and say, hey, the missionaries stopped by. I'd like to talk to them and explain the context of what I said to them, because they'll be the ones that baptize kids.
Yeah.
Or whoever they convert. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's part of my Mormon.
I bet somewhere the person that baptized you saying, man, the first time I baptized somebody, I almost killed them.
Yeah. So after that, I became Lutheran. So let's take a quick break. True story. Let's take a quick break here. We'll continue our conversation. Oh, let's just go to the end, and I'll just do one long break here. Let me get rid of this, and then we'll, I think that's 31:30. Yeah, we'll be fine. Okay. So I'll tell you the other part of it was that, so I became a Lutheran. I was confirmed Lutheran like 3 years later because all my friends were.
Oh, I was going to say, how did that happen?
Well, my dad tried to get me into the Catholic school. I was a target of bullies at my public school over here, Anahan. Mm-hmm. And so they were trying to get me out of that school. And the Catholic school wouldn't take me because, I think I've told you before, my dad had a clumsy way of language and could often be racist. Mm-hmm. And he went to the Catholic school, St. Tekela's, and was trying to get me in. And the priest asked why. And my dad said that this was why they didn't take me, was because he said that there were too many bussers at Anahan, which really makes me angry thinking about it. The black kids that had to be bussed in.
Oh, bussers. I got it. Yeah, okay.
Too many bussers, which I guess, whatever. Right? Yeah. But which makes me so angry because the kids that were being bussed in because of desegregation were not the ones that were bullying me. It was the kids from the neighborhood. Right. So going to St. Tekela's might have just been the same situation. So my friend Susie was going to Our Savior Lutheran. She was German and Lutheran. She had transferred out of Anahan. So I went to school. We tried getting in there. And that's where I ended up going 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And
so you said Lutheran it is.
Well, and the thing is, they had it was kind of cozy and fun, and there were sports
It's like Catholicism light, right?
It really is. And they had potluck dinners. I had never been to a potluck dinner. It was so much fun.
Okay.
It was, and they made hot lunch every Tuesday. You could smell the chili or the spaghetti. It was cozy.
You brought a hot lunch here one time, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah, I love that stuff, right? Yeah. I played softball and basketball, and we didn't have any of that at Anahan, really. And so I liked it. So when I was getting married to Steve, Steve had grown up in Evanston, and his whole family had gone to this.
He's from Evanston?
Yeah, he went to ETHS. Okay. He's a wild kid.
Oh, okay.
So his family had been going to the same church for decades, and I wanted to get married in their church. I didn't really
Catholic church?
Yeah. Okay, and my church, I didn't really have ties to it anymore. So I was like, I don't go to church. You guys do. You have all your baptisms there, all your funerals there, all your weddings. Let's get married at St. Athanasius.
Right.
So we're going into the rectory to talk to the priest and to prepare for our wedding. And I go, what do you want me to tell the priest? And he goes, just tell him the truth. And I go, okay.
Which truth? Yeah.
I was like, okay. So we go in there and we're talking. He asked me about my religion. I said I was confirmed Lutheran. Right? That's just withholding the full picture. So we were about to leave, and the priest says, we're just going to need your baptism records. And I said, well, as it turns out, just so you know, I was baptized Mormon. And we were all getting up, and the priest goes, oh, and he sat back down. And he goes, the only thing worse than being an atheist in the Catholic Church is being a Mormon.
What?
Yep. And I know some folks have heard this story before, but it's just, I enjoy it so much because poor Steve still was convinced this wasn't a big deal. And I was like, no, this is a big deal. Yeah. So we get the information, I get the records, we come back, and he has Steve sign this document essentially saying he acknowledges that he's marrying a pagan. Right.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and that
they got a lot of nerve.
And that's what Steve got really mad.
Yeah.
I was like, well, of course they do. Of course they're doing this, right? Yeah. So he's already decided that we're not going to use this priest. We're not going to get married here. We'll make other arrangements, right? Mm-hmm. And then the priest says, I just need to talk to Patty's parents. And she was like, no, you don't need to do that. Right. And I'm like, give me the phone. yeah. So it was like one of my favorite. We did not use him. We used Steve's childhood priest, Father Tom, who actually ended up leaving the parish to marry one of his widowed parishioners.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Right? That's the guy that needed to marry us at Saints, Faith, Hope, and Charity. But the priest comes over, Father Jim comes over to our house, and it starts with my mom pulling out the Book of Mormon and going, show me how you are better than we are, right, with the Book of Mormon. Oh, wow. And my dad's like, let me ask you something, right? So when I sin, like, why do I, like, God knows, why do I got to get into a box with you? Like, that's a little weird, isn't it? Like, this priest was, like, falling down the stairs backwards to get away from my parents. It was one of the greatest nights of my entire life.
Yeah, I never heard this. That's funny. Yeah.
It was fantastic. But see, these aren't like comedy club. For me, like, I've never been able to tell this like as comedy club. Like, it's a little more intimate. You know what I mean? Yeah. Well, there's a comic in Chicago when I started trying to do material like that, was like, you're not getting laughs. Like, I don't know what you're doing with your, Well, I call him John. Let's call him John. Let's take a break here. We'll continue our conversation with comedian Dwayne Kennedy. Well, I feel like I'm just unloading. Like, I feel like my therapy session.
Yeah.
More in a moment.
Dive deeper into the heart of the news and stories at WCPT 820 and across the Midwest by checking out our website, heartlandsignal.com.
It's the coverage I can count on every time.
For the latest news updates, in-depth analysis, compelling stories, comprehensive election coverage, live streams, and thought-provoking opinions, head to heartlandsignal.com.
When I need to know, they're there.
They keep me informed and updated wherever I am.
Stay informed with WCPT 820, your go-to source for where facts matter.
Because facts matter. You're listening to WCPT 820.
Hey, it's Patty here, reminding you that Minocqua Brewing Company's progressive beers like Maga Tears IPA, Biden Beer, and the LGBTQ-inspired Love Wins Fruited Sour are now available at Chicagoland locations like Armanetti Wine and Spirits in Woodstock, Beer Shop in Oak Park, McLean Liquors in South Elgin, Beer on Central in Evanston, and My Buddies, a pride-friendly bar on Clark in Chicago. Don't forget to drink and vote responsibly.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now at 773-763-9278. Driving it home with Patti Vasquez now on WCPT 820.
I love making Dwayne Kennedy laugh. It's one of my favorite things. Are you performing soon in town, my friend?
Yes, I'm going to be at the Lincoln Lodge Friday.
Excellent.
And this is what I'm going to start doing, Patty. I'm going to really tighten up on my self-promotion game.
Okay, I'm terrible too. Please, I have no idea what.
We got to get on it, Patty. We got to get on it.
I know we do. Well, we also did get on our social media game.
That's what I mean. Social media. I'm gonna start doing. I'm getting prepared to do that because I'm doing a bunch of dates, and then from February 6th to like June 28th, I'm going to be touring with Kamau.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
Do you have any dates in Chicago? Is Kamau coming here? Oh,
actually, in March. I'll find it. We'll find it. Yeah.
So keep every weekend date in March.
I need to tell you so you can tell me.
Okay, great. Yes.
I'm surprised you didn't already tell me. You usually know better than I do.
I try. One of our listeners texted us. Myrna sent a screenshot from the Chicago Board of Election Commissioners. Today, the Board of Election Commissioners met to officially declare, proclaim the official results of Chicago's totals. What do you think our turnout was in Chicago? Because we did well.
For the presidential?
Yeah.
In Chicago
just a
proper?
Turnout, yeah. Citywide.
1,000,002.
That's very close. 1,018,359.
Okay.
With a citywide turnout of almost 68%.
Wow. And
that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Does
it
perfect.
Say who voted?
No, we don't have the breakdown.
Breakdown.
But there were certain. I mean, not here. I'm sure that I haven't looked too closely. I know that there are certain communities that went huge for Trump.
Chicago.
In Chicago. Well, we lost ground for Democrats in Illinois.
Nationwide.
Nationwide, and Illinois. We're not, and because a lot of us who do the volunteering, who get out there and do the legwork, we were going to the states where we felt like we could be the most efficient. Right. Yeah. That's why I was going to Wisconsin. Right. I'm not going to. I was like, presumably, and again, 68% solid.
Right.
But Yeah, so we have to recalibrate. I know a lot of people are talking about some of the races coming up for Illinois, with some of the changes. Whether or not, who's going to be moving into Senator Durbin's seat, those kinds of things too.
Yeah, see, Patty, you know all about that.
Not
For
really.
me, I'm just going to drop out of society.
Yeah, boy. Do you have friends that are talking about moving?
A lot of people.
Really?
Yeah, I talk to a lot. I mean, I talk to people about that even before the election, but then now, especially, I mean, I talk, women and non-white folks are really talking about, I got to get the F out of here.
One of the things that, you know what? I took a late break and then I didn't run through the weather. Let's go ahead and do that. Sorry, ladies. Let me go and take care of that. Let's take a quick break here. Can we open up the phone lines? Are we good on the phones? We'll open the phone lines and take your calls at 773-763-9278. Let's take our weather break here and a couple of station messages, and we'll be right back with our conversation. I guess talk too much about Mormonism. That was weird.
Tom Hartman.
Lori in Ocala, Florida. Hey, Lori, what's up?
Hi, Tom. First, I just want to say thank you for being here for all of us. It's really important. It's almost like having a friend there that you know you can listen to and talk to. And I've listened to you since Air America, and I really appreciate you today.
Well, thank you, Lori.
The Tom Hartman Radio Program. Weekdays 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. on WCPT 820, where facts matter. Hey, Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now at 773-763-9278. Driving it home with Patti Vasquez now on WCPT 820.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue our conversation. Joining me in studio is comedian Dwayne Kennedy, who will be at the Lincoln Lodge this Friday. Lincoln Lodge website is Lincoln Lodge. Is it LincolnLodge.com? I should probably find that out myself. I've only performed there a couple of times, but I really like that venue.
Oh, that's a great place.
They got a couple of different showrooms. Lincoln Lodge. I'm just going to go ahead and Google where Lincoln Lodge. I just typed in Lodge. I'm not going to be able to find that Lodge.
That's a great place too. Lodge.
Yeah. Lincoln Lodge. It's a good time to go and gather with other folks and have a laugh and enjoy Dwayne Kennedy. You can go to, LincolnLodge.com, thelincolnlodge.com. And for folks who aren't familiar, the Lincoln Lodge is located on Milwaukee Avenue at 2040 North Milwaukee Avenue. And you can, again, go to thelincolnlodge.com. And Dwayne will be there Friday. Let me get Jim's call.
Jim!
Hey, how you doing, Jim? What's on your mind, my friend?
Hey, Dwayne, I think you were lucky you were in New York. I have not had I can rely on a nightmare every night since November 5th, sometimes two.
Wow.
I've never experienced this in my life. I have a nightmare, and it's always the same. It's somebody who's strange, who's in control. Either I parked their car wrong or whatever it is. They have some kind of a control over me. And it's the strangest people you could think of. I mean, even I had one dream that they resurrected Nixon and put him in the White House.
Oh, God.
I mean, honest to God, I mean, some of the strangest dreams. I've never had these kind of dreams. But I mean, I can rely on a nightmare every night, and then I wake up in the morning and go, "Oh, that's right. I got to look at this guy in the red suit with the blue tie. I mean, with the red. Yeah. What does he wear? The blue suit, the red tie. Right. Look at this guy for 4 years. Yeah. 4 years of my life." And you know, you were talking about taking off. Now, I've been on the lam, Dwayne, a couple of times, and I travel light. Okay. But this time, I got to prepare more. When I was a kid, I was younger, I could take off at the moment's notice, you know. But now, it's kind of like. I moved so many times since my sweetheart died that I'm like a gypsy anyway. But I'd have to get my ducks in a row, which makes I can't. I don't know if I can do it. You know what I mean? But I mean, a nightmare every night. It's incredible, just incredible. And look at this liquor cabinet that he's got with the rat gun booze in it. I mean, how would every pick he's made for the cabinet is insane. Every one of them is nuts.
Yeah,
every one of them's nuts.
Yeah, they're lunatics. Yeah. They're all lunatics. They're all bad. But that Stephen Miller is a loser. He's the worst, man. And then
that's why. Yeah.
Go ahead, Jim.
You and Patty were saying that. Do you think he'll carry through with this immigration? Well, he's bound and determined to do it.
Absolutely.
He hung around for 4 years mimicking that.
That's true.
I mean, he can't wait. He can't wait. He's chomping at the bit.
I think,
and that's his whole life. He's probably a podcaster. So I don't know what who listens to him, but he's been talking about.
People.
Yeah, immigration. Yeah, I know how they do it, but I don't know how these people do any of this stuff. You know that 50% of the 18 to 27 get all their news from TikTok.
Yeah,
TikTok. They don't know any. I mean, that's all in pictures, Patty. It's not even in translatable language. They just see pictures.
It's not. No, I know. I agree.
They see pictures and they go, "Oh yeah, look at him. He was over there and he's over there." You know what I mean?
Right.
Just absolute nonsense. But that's what we're up against there. But I don't know what we're gonna do about it. But I don't know how much I could take. Let's put it that way. Because have you ever been to Guadalajara?
Not yet.
No, I have not been to Guadalajara.
Yeah, Acajete in Guadalajara is a real nifty suburb there. And I would love to see what an apartment down there is. It's lovely there. The weather's gorgeous. It's like 70 degrees all day and 50 at night. It's just gorgeous there. Wow. Anyway.
That's good because some of these Trump supporting Latinos are gonna wind up down there.
Yeah, really.
They sure. Yeah, the hard way. Hard way. They're not even gonna pick their transportation.
No.
Steve Miller will pick it for them.
Right.
But it's an absolute
it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare, man.
For people to reelect a guy who denied the election for 4 solid years.
Yep.
Guilty of every crime on earth. Every crime you can think of. Molestation, rape, you name it.
Right. Fraud, rape.
Yeah, everything. Everything you think of. And they marched in that voting booth and voted for him.
Yep.
So, I mean, 4 years of this? Holy smokes. Anyway, you guys have a good night. Thanks, Dwayne.
Jim,
thank you.
And Jim's got to take care of himself because I know that Dwayne worries about Jim.
I do. I think about you sometimes, Jim. Like, I wonder what Jim is doing. I hope he's all right.
Yes. Yeah, but I don't know how much action I got left, Dwayne. 4 years.
On.
I don't know if I can handle 4 years of this psycho. I can't even turn the news on.
Did you?
I'm absolutely in a... Yeah.
No, did you hear Dick Van Dyke? He said something hilarious. He said, at least maybe in 4 years I won't be here, so I don't have to worry about it.
No, he's probably right. Wow. And Dick Van Dyke used to polish up a fifth of booze basically every day for years. But so it just goes to show you that one man's meat is another man's poison. I mean, nobody, everybody tries to, this longevity game, there's no real answers to it. But anyway, you're good for him. I'm about the same camp as he. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Jim. Take care. And for the first time, we have Buster on the line. Buster's calling in for the first time from Dolton, and he has some thoughts on the election. What's on your mind, Buster? You're on with me and Dwayne Kennedy.
Hey, how y'all doing this afternoon?
All right.
I was doing better 3 weeks ago, but I'm all right.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I was too. And I got to thinking about it. Maybe this is from my perspective. I could be dead wrong, but I don't think I am. But I look back to when Hillary ran against Trump. She basically beat the pants off him, but he got the electoral vote.
Right.
And my thought process on that is that this country is not ready for a woman to be president.
No,
and
not at all.
Definitely wasn't ready for a black woman to be president.
No.
Because everybody voted with their emotions. I mean, because I've got some of my coworkers, they're dead set for Trump and were determined that they were going to change my mind. So I asked one of them, I said, well, let me ask you a question. If Make America Great is y'all's slogan that you keep using. He was like, yeah, it is. I was like, but nobody could ever tell me at what point in the past has America ever been greater than what it is right now.
Right.
I said, can you tell me? And he was like, yeah, because, if you had asked anybody from any country, they would have told you America was the greatest country in the world. And I was like, okay, but at what time? What was the time frame? And he was like, like back in the 40s and 50s. And I was like, is that the hill you want to die on? And he was like, yeah, if we could go back to that time. I said, you know what else happened in the 40s and 50s? He was like, what? I said, that was before the Voting Rights Act. Blacks couldn't vote, women couldn't do a lot of stuff. And he was like, well, I was like, no, you said that's the time frame you want to go back to. Don't backpedal on it now. Yeah. And, I told him, I said, because for you to be, I told him, I said, I could, even if I agree with some of Trump policies, which I don't, the fact that I heard him, the fact that he's against unions, I heard that out of his own mouth. And I'm telling the guy this, and I was like, so you've got to be a special kind of crazy because we're in a union. And the company we work for, they pay us extremely well. Yeah. But I can promise you they wouldn't do it if we wasn't in a union. We wouldn't be making what we make right now. So how can you vote against vote for somebody that want to take away what you've got? Yes. That's kind of crazy.
Right. Well, that's Trump's dark power, and the Republicans, like you said, typically they get people to vote against their own interest.
I just couldn't understand it, I couldn't, because usually I won't even talk politics with people at work because, I try to fix some stuff, but you just can't fix stupid, so I don't even try.
That's that part.
Right.
That part. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, because not only that, but unions are vulnerable right now with Trump in office.
Yeah.
They're already like these huge corporations. When we had Governor Rauner in office in Illinois, like his goal was to make this a right-to-work state, diminish bargaining rights, diminish workman's comp.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you something. If Chicago unions fall, that's it. It is game over, folks. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing that really flabbergasted me was I actually watched the Republican National Convention because I was curious. It blew my mind when I saw Sean O'Brien get up, which is the president of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, which is the union that we're in.
Right.
And I'm like, why the hell is he at the Republican National Convention?
Yeah.
Right.
Right. And they actually sent all the members in because they wanted to go with Trump.
Right.
But they sent it out to all of the union members to ask us who we wanted them to support. And I was like, that shouldn't even be a question. Yeah. Why are we even entertaining the idea of supporting Republicans, period, because they're against unions?
Right. And then you're abdicating.
They wanted it to. Yeah. They decided not to support either candidate.
Right. And that's basically it was a backdoor endorsement of Trump. And when you do that, he was abdicating his position as a leader. If you're a leader, then you lead.
Yeah.
You don't.
There is no getting around the fact, because what they were able to do was to blame other people for people not being able to afford gas or eggs or anything like that. But let me tell you something. When it comes to access to health care, affordable housing, it is the fault of conservatives over and over and over again.
Right.
Diminishing our wages, our power at work, it has always been Republicans.
Right.
Always.
Right. And so you choose fascism over the price of eggs, or the price of eggs over fascism, and then eggs, eventually the price is going to go down. Fascism is not going to go away.
Yep.
Right. And then I look at, like I said, I follow politics somewhat, but it really kind of ticks me off, so I don't watch it too much.
Yeah.
Especially when I started looking at some of the people he called himself picking for his cabinet, I'm like, if this ain't just turned America into the biggest joke there is, how do you have a pedophile as your attorney general? Are you serious?
Yeah.
That you would even consider that?
Yep. And by the way, I can't remember the names of any of the black conservatives that were all
Byron Donald, nothing. Tim Scott, nothing. That's what you get. You bunch of you sell out nothing.
Yep.
That's what you get.
And here's the thing. For all their stuff about, like, well, we shouldn't have to have, DEI and all these things. So you're telling me there were no black people, no Latinos that were qualified. You're saying that there's not a single one.
Right.
That's qualified.
Right. And that's the whole ruse is what they're saying. DEI is we don't want to put any blacks and any Latinos in charge. We want white men to run everything.
Yep. There it is.
Well, see, I told my coworkers, and some of them didn't speak to me for a couple of weeks behind it, which was cool with me because I don't really like them anyway. Because I told them, I said, the one thing I will give Trump credit for is he proved without a shadow of a doubt that pink elephant in the room where everybody's like, well, everybody want to talk about racism. Racism is not as bad as it is. Trump just proved that there are a lot of races. And they all came out of the closet.
You're absolutely
everybody
right.
Everybody to come out of the closet.
You're absolutely right, Buster.
And that's what we've been working with ever since.
You're absolutely
because
right.
Now people figure it's okay to do things that you had to. Because like I told them, I'm living in Illinois now, but I'm originally from Alabama. I'm originally from Mobile, Alabama.
Oh, wow.
And I grew up with it. So, I tell them, you don't have to be calling me the N-word and all that kind of stuff, but I've lived around it so much that I can walk up and tell somebody, you got to watch him. And when I told them, I said, now the thing I give people in the credit South for, if they were racist, they were proud of it. And they would let you know that that's how they were.
Yeah.
I said, but when you start moving up north, it's not that they've changed. It's just that because they're holding a certain position, they can't let their true feelings out. So they've got to do it in other ways.
Right.
So
not to you. Not to you guys, but the people who they think they're safe around to act that way. Because I've told this story about
that's when it comes out.
Yep. I remember in the 90s, like I was so, and I've talked about my dad, but I used to bartend at a place where this cop would come in and just, it was so frustrating for me. I ended up kind of getting, I threw a whole tray of shot glasses against a wall when we were in an argument one time because they had no compunction about saying that I can't. Yeah. So there are people who they have no problem with it here, except just not.
And now with Trump in office, they've been loosed to be more blatant.
Yep.
And
they're just blatant with it now.
Yeah.
Because they figure. Because I made a T-shirt, and I said on the T-shirt it says, "Don't let your president make you get your butt whooped."
That's a good one.
And I wear it to work.
That's a good one, Buster.
Buster, be well, and please don't make this the last time you call, okay, my friend?
Okay, well, we'll do.
All right, thank you so much. Let's take care. Have a good Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving to you, too.
Thank you. We lost a caller who wanted to tell us that Democrats lose because it's Democrats' fault, and we lost that. And I can't argue necessarily entirely with that either.
I mean, that and this country is super deeply sexist.
Yeah, that's the other part. I'm kind of living in a little bit of anger on the surface all the time. I'm trying to meditate. Let's take a quick break here. Hang out with Dwayne Kennedy. He's performing at the Lincoln Lodge this Friday night. You can go to thelincolnlodge.com for ticket information and show times. And we'll continue our conversation when we come back on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
Vasquez on WCPT 820.
We are on with Dwayne Kennedy, and he'll be at the Lincoln Lodge this Friday. Roosevelt, what's on your mind, my friend?
Hey, Patty, Dwayne.
Hey.
Welcome back, Dwayne.
Oh, thanks, Roosevelt.
Welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
How you doing? Hey, welcome back, Dwayne. Sorry we couldn't give you good news, man.
Yeah, man, me too. But, what can you do? Just got to keep it moving.
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I want to expand on what the last gentleman and what Dwayne and you were talking about. And I'm going to go specifically to Mexican Americans. Now, I don't know if you guys know it or not, but I was born in Mexico, brought over here when I was about 11 years old. So this is basically my country. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
But I had plenty of years to know my people. Now, I'm going to tell you, Dwayne, within the Mexican community, there's a lot of racism. So don't think that racism didn't play a part on this.
Yeah.
And misogyny to the max.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, within Mexicans, they have a problem with me because I know Spanish, but I wasn't educated in Mexico as far as university. There's people that think that because they got a better education than me, you know, they put you down. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So there's always this concept of I'm better than you. You know, I'm not saying all. Mm-hmm. I'm saying some. So just think about that, Dwayne. Yeah. Racism played a part on it, and misogyny. Absolutely. I'm talking about the Mexican vote specifically.
Yeah.
All right. So, you know, and I think that in this election, you know, you got a woman in Mexico that is the first woman. I'm going to repeat it. Yeah. First minority woman in Mexico because she's Jewish.
Right.
She is Jewish.
How did that happen, Roosevelt? How did that happen? How could Mexicans?
I have no idea. I wake up every morning, Dwayne, and I think, really? Mexico's got a woman?
Yeah.
Jewish woman for president?
Yeah.
I mean,
that's super progressive, no?
Ain't it? Okay, now, let me talk about the tariffs. Did you hear what the Mexican president said today? No. Claudia Sheinbaum?
Retaliation, I think, is the plan for...
Retaliation. So if he thinks... he's got it in his head because he, quote, is the most powerful man in the world. Mm-hmm. So he's going to be pushing everybody around. Remember that summit, Dwayne, that went to in Europe where he pushed this guy out of the way?
Yeah.
That's exactly how he's going to be in the White House because now there's nothing to stop him.
Right. And you know something, Roosevelt? And in truth, it just made me think, because he is so misogynistic, I can see him being even particularly antagonistic towards Mexico because they have a woman president.
Yep.
Bingo.
Damn.
I mean, look at what he did in his life. Look at it. But you know something? As much as he pushes and he takes advantage of women, I believe his woman is taking advantage of him. You know, I'm talking about Melania.
Yeah.
Because remember those famous videos where he's trying to hold her hand coming down from from getting out on an airplane and all that.
Yeah.
So I think he made his match with her. And she is also an immigrant.
Right.
So that, you know, but he thinks he's going to get away with everything. He ain't going to do that.
Roosevelt, are you doing the dishes?
Huh?
Are you doing the dishes? Are you cooking?
Am I what?
Are you cooking or doing the dishes? We're hearing clang, clang, clang. I don't know.
No. I'm stirring my cup of coffee.
Oh,
okay.
Wow. It's aggressive.
I was going to say.
Hold on. It sounds like this.
Yeah. I said Roosevelt is multitasking.
Yeah.
He's dealing with the world and some dishes.
I don't think people realize it when you wear headphones and we're talking to folks. It goes right into my brainstem. I can hear everything.
Sorry about that.
No, I'm just teasing you. I just because you know how I get, Roosevelt. You're fidgeting, and that's okay. I just was wondering if you're doing dishes or you're making. Because sometimes you call and you're making dinner, and I put you on hold too long, and you're like eating. So I love that we should make it like, what's Roosevelt up to right now?
Yeah. Hey, brother, when you said you were born in Mexico and you were up here, I thought maybe they had by now had just come and got you.
Right.
Hey, I wouldn't be surprised if they kicked me back, man.
Oh man, you know,
we
talk about, like Patty and I were saying, that maybe some of these people in this administration might be grifters or less sincere, but that Stephen Miller is a true believer, and he is dead serious, and he's a maniac.
Yeah.
By the way, in the Independent's reporting, I hadn't seen this yet, Donald Trump Jr. says his father may ban mainstream media journalists from the White House press briefing room.
Yeah, and just having people like... Mm-hmm.
Dwayne, the last caller you had, he mentioned in particular people that don't back their unions. But you know something? That's a mixed message. The leader of a union to go out there, and I don't think that's ever happened. Has that ever happened where a leader of the head of the union goes to a Republican rally? And then here's
not in a long time if it has happened.
And here's the thing: between the Mexican community, men in particular that voted for this, I almost said it. And the union people and the white men, they all have one thing in common. Back to the word racism.
Right.
And you know what? You know one thing, Dwayne?
What's that?
When it comes down to people, they don't want other people to have nothing. Even if they're wrong, they don't want it to have nothing. Because, you know, they say about minorities that we're welfare, we're stamps and all that. In the old days was the food stamps and all that.
Right.
So they don't want people to have nothing. So even if they lose their job, they'll be happy as long as somebody else didn't get nothing.
Yeah, you're right. They would rather the whole thing burn to the ground than have equality and equal participation.
Yep. By the way, it was the first time ever that a Teamster union leader had gone to the Republican National Convention.
The first time ever. Yeah. That's how.
And you know one thing, Patty? I've seen a lot of videos where you see these guys in Michigan with the union jackets and all that. I used to have one of those jackets, the union jackets and everything, and say, I'm voting for Trump. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You might as well quit because they're going to get rid of your union.
Yep.
That's the only protection you got.
Yep.
Well, that's what we were talking about. And the thing is, and this is what I was going to tell Buster last call, but the same thing. It's not just that they are going to find out these things. Their mistakes are going to be at all of our expense. That's the thing. Do you know? Their stupidity is going to cost all of us.
Yep.
Patty, I'm going to end it with this. Remember I told you the lady, I gave up on that lady 2-3 weeks ago that has her show, 2-hour show? You know what she said today?
What?
Both parties were the same.
Oh, my God.
Both parties are the same.
No.
Yeah, and you know why? Because the issue of Gaza and Biden is, sending troops. And I said, he's not sending anything.
Yep.
I said, he's sending, if anything, javelins and how are you going to defend yourself if you were attacked?
Right.
But they put that on there. And people get mixed messages.
Exactly. I got to run, Roosevelt. Thank you so much for calling. Enjoy your coffee. Don't have too much caffeine. It's late. It's after 5 o'clock. I'm not allowed to have coffee after 5 o'clock.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no. But have a good night, Dwayne. Have a good night, Roosevelt. Bye. Let's take a break. Let's take a break here. We're going to check in with Ben Cominos, the host of Outside the Box on WHBY in Appleton, Wisconsin. We're in studio with Dwayne Kennedy. He'll be at the Lincoln Lodge this Friday. Go to thelincolnlodge.com for more information.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Driving it home with Patti Vasquez, From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing asses says, she's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for driving it home with us. I am your host, Patti Vasquez, and we want to say hello to our friends listening in the evenings on KTNF AM 950, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and, of course, broadcasting here out of Chicago on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal, and you can hear us wherever you maybe use your TuneIn app, or you can watch us on our Facebook live stream, and if you tune in, either way, listening or watching us, you know that Dwayne Kennedy is joining us.
Yeah.
Comedian Dwayne Kennedy, who's Emmy Award-winning. He may know him from his work on the United Shades of America with Kamal Bell, as well as Totally Biased on FX. And he'll be performing at the Lincoln Lodge this Friday.
I think I got some residuals from Totally Biased the other.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like
someone rented it, maybe
something for like a 69 cents.
I got like 22 cents one day from Nick Mom's Night Out. If you go to Amazon Prime Video, look for Nickelodeon's Mom's Night Out. You can rent my, I think I have like a 10-minute set. It was a comedy
special, right?
It was a comedy special, like in 2013 or so, yeah.
Okay. How was that to do?
That was okay. It was fine. It was fun. It was here, so it was nice to do the mom stuff.
Yeah.
It was funny. Well, let's get to, Ben Cominos is on the line. Ben Cominos is the host of Outside the Box on WHBY out of Appleton, Wisconsin. And you can go to WHBY.com. They also have their own app. And Dwayne, Dwayne, I'd love to introduce you to each other. How are you doing tonight, my friend?
All right, Patty. What's going on, Dwayne? Glad to be here with you guys. Oh. Happy early Thanksgiving to both of you.
Oh, same to you. Thank you. Are you going home to Pittsburgh for Thanksgiving?
Nah, that's going to be Christmas. Doing both this day and age.
Oh, man. You're from Pittsburgh, Ben?
Yeah,
Man,
originally.
What's it like to have a good football team? What's it like, Ben? What's it like?
Well, I was telling the joke. It's only a matter of time before Caleb Williams ends up playing here, right?
Right.
That seems to be the pipeline at this point.
Oh, boy. We're like the Steelers minor league team.
That's fine. We get you back in baseball, so you're good. You can have the Pirates. So we'll make it work.
Oh, my God. There's so many jokes going around about how the Lions haven't won on Thanksgiving Day since 2016, and the Bears are like, oh, we'll help.
Yeah, right.
We'll take care of that for you.
Man.
Yeah.
It's bad. I mean, like, I was at, I haven't seen Dwayne in a bit, but I was at the Brat stop on my way back from door knocking right before the election. And, we lost. That was a game where it was a kicker or something that we lost.
Against the Packers?
Yeah, against, no. The Sunday before, the other one where we lost in the last 30 seconds, where we were ahead, had some great plays, and then it just was within our grasp. And at the Brat stop, they play Sorry, Peggy Lee's I'm So Sorry. I'm like, this is just mean.
Yeah.
This is just mean.
Yikes.
Although at the Brat stop, you might run into Ronnie Woo Woo, which was interesting.
Oh, man.
Ben, do you know who Ronnie Woo Woo is?
I don't think so, no.
He's a Cubs superfan who's been around for decades, and he goes around going, Cubs, woo! Cubs, woo! Not quite like that, but that's Ronnie Woo Woo.
Perfect. Yeah. That feels like that fits in that city.
Yes. So how are things going? How are folks, what kind of conversations are you having with your listeners? Because you have sort of a back and forth with conservative and liberal listeners. How are people doing up there?
So it's an interesting dynamic right now, Patty, because I've noticed the right-wingers who were super comfortable with my criticisms of Joe Biden are all of a sudden becoming very touchy about my criticisms of Donald Trump, and then vice versa. And it's almost like Democrats are calling me more frequently now to complain as opposed to kind of push back what I'm saying. There's people frustrated. No one likes what they're seeing. I wrote a thing for Kirk about Trump's cabinet. Even conservatives are not happy with what they're seeing. Like Trump conservatives are not happy with what they're seeing in this cabinet right now. But they're a lot quieter. They're a lot quieter than they were just a couple weeks ago, which I find very interesting.
Did you have this? Because we've been experiencing a unique thing, which is the Trump trollers are really loud, aggressively loud, nasty, especially texting, a few phone calls. And I speculate that they expected to lose or thought they were going to lose and were prepared for violence. Mm-hmm. And they're frustrated because they have nowhere to put that rage except to just be angry even though they won. Like, it's really bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I said to you a couple weeks ago, I think I think more than half of what represents that party right now is a liberal meltdown. And I think there's a lot of frustration at the DNC. Realistically, it's not nearly the panic that took place in 2016. And I think a lot of those people are waiting for that. And because they're not getting it organically, they're trying to chastise it out of people, and they're not, and they're still not really buying it anymore. Part of me thinks, Patty, and you might be giving too much credit here. Part of me thinks they kind of know the economy's screwed in the short term here based on what Trump's proposing, and so they're just digging in on this half of it because if they truly were getting pinched by the price of things, it looks like it's going to get worse before it gets better now.
Oh, no doubt about it. But I think I might not have been clear. We have a lot of Trump supporters who are being really nasty, using horrible language on our text screen, which had not been there. Like, they would call and mock or taunt, and but no, really nasty, ugly stuff. And I think they're having violence blue balls. They thought that they were going to be able to express themselves in a way that they're now frustrated.
Okay, I haven't seen any of that, but I have a feeling you might be onto something there. Then there could be something there. Yeah. I have no idea.
They thought they were going to be able to smack some folks around. There was going to be, they could be just nasty about it. Because look, we saw a lot of stuff with people stealing lawn signs and vandalism and all kinds of stuff, and they thought they were going to lose, so thought they were going to have some place to just beat on people or be now they're just just being nasty because they're in control, and it's just not satisfying.
And I think some of those people, a lot of those people were not ideologues or had any sort of particular political philosophy. They were just aggressive lunatics that needed something to vent, something to vent about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure. And you guys bill yourself like I'm camouflaged. I'm just on like a generic talk station. You'd never expect to get my show unless you went there looking for it. You guys kind of bill yourself as like progressive lefty radio, and so maybe it was just like a Google search, and now you got a bunch of crap talkers making their way over to you.
Right.
It's a really good point. We need to be a little more subversive in what we talk about. Like, I need to do more like cooking segments and movie critic segments.
Listen to the show that's on after me. It's like recipes and what's going to happen at the parade, and then all of a sudden it's like billionaires suck, and like it just comes out of nowhere.
Oh, that's hilarious.
See, and this is something I've told people because for over a decade, I have had the opportunity to speak to really wealthy people, like a couple billionaires, right? And one of them was Governor Pritzker when he was running for governor. He came into WGN, and I was filling in during the afternoons. He had previously pre-record with me because I was on in the middle of the night, and he said, "How do we get you on during the day?" And I said, "Buy a radio station." And the way I would do, well, I probably shouldn't tell you how I would do it in case I do it. but I mean, I think that because Joe Rogan is not a political podcaster. No. He does everything. He does lifestyle. He does sex. He does fashion, comedy. Conspiracy theories.
Yes.
I mean, like really a lot of conspiracy. That was kind of like his stock and trade.
Yeah.
I don't know. Here's my question to you guys. Because that seems to be something that motivates the conservative mind, or like people who operate that way on fear and anger and things like that. What conspiracies can we put out there to manipulate low curious minds, like people who are not going to necessarily do the research to prove something right or wrong or care? Like, I need you guys to work on conspiracies. Like, I don't want like adrenalized, fear Macrons of, we're draining babies' blood to keep young kind of a thing. Or there's
I haven't heard that one.
Oh yeah. Do you remember that one, Ben?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's definitely out there. Probably I'm joking, but yeah, I've definitely heard that one. There's plenty of them out there. You're putting me on the spot though to come up with something that over the top. I mean, QAnon needed Q-level clearance to come up with this kind of stuff. I can't just find that.
It's just, and because, we need our own flamethrowers. We need our own bot farms. We need our own, because like trying to tell people the truth or what our policies are or wanting to help people, wanting to help people isn't helpful, apparently.
No, it doesn't move people emotionally.
No.
You got to scare
I'm telling you guys to call me. So I wrote an article today. You can call me Pollyannish or naive. I think this is the presidential term that gets rid of all that stuff. Because in my discussion with right-wingers, not the off-the-rocker right-wingers, but people that don't see a path forward, I feel like Trump's playing with fire right now with the cabinet picks he's doing. Some of them are just crackpot crazy, but there's a lot of war hawks, a lot of hedge funds, a lot of billionaires that if you take Republicans at their word was part of what they hated about the Kamala Harris campaign. There's a chance here to crack in on this. I swear to you guys. But if liberals double down on what they ran on in 2024, they're going to keep losing. There is a path forward here over the next 4 years. And I don't know if they're going to capitalize on it.
Tell us
and what is it?
Yes, thank you.
What's the path?
Don't keep the secrets.
Yeah, man.
No, I'm saying it is embracing a truly populist left message, getting rid of the money in the Democratic Party. Anytime I talked about trickle-down economics or that Donald Trump's policies were only going to affect the rich, I'd inevitably get a dozen texts or phone calls that said, Ben, 52 billionaires are donating to Kamala Harris. What makes you think if Democrats win, they're going to do something about it? If that many people feel confident. And they're exactly right. How could I possibly push back against it? If you're a white dude that feels like your culture is being taken away and both sides look to be bought and paid for, you're going to gravitate towards the right-wing populist message of Mexicans are ruining your life instead of the wealthy. Democrats need an actual populist message, and then they actually need to live it for 4 years if they want to succeed. But again, that would require getting out of the pharma industry. That would require a number of benefactors not contributing anymore, and it feels like a pipe dream. But there is a path forward if they want to take it.
How much, you said 52 billionaires contributed to the Democrats this election cycle. What percentage of what the Democrats raised would you say that is? I haven't seen those numbers.
So the stats that I saw was 52 billionaires donated to Democrats, 30-something billionaires donated to Republicans, and over 72% of billionaire funds went to Republicans. But I'm pretty sure I said this to you. All that says to me is Democrats suck at getting money out of billionaires. It doesn't say to me that they're pushing back against them, that they're not promising them everything they want. They're just as bought and paid for. And it's just a matter of the extent to which they are bought and paid for. Which, again, if you're not inclined to already lean left, you're probably not going to believe what they're saying. I did a full 2 hours last week where people were calling my show and insisting that Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy were somehow better versions of billionaires than Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos, or whatever the situation is. There are people out there that understand that none of these people have your best interest at heart, and you've got to capitalize on that population if you want to move forward.
I guess I don't think about like people looking at how much the billionaires are giving to a campaign, and these are not the conversations. Because we talk a lot about how billionaires benefit from more conservative policies, but if it's more billionaires that are giving to Democrats, that is a difficult conversation to have, isn't it?
It's impossible to get around if you're talking with educated people. And, you're talking to a guy, and I've worn on my sleeve. I'm a Bernie bro. Like, he got me off the benches. I absolutely bought into the message. I think Joe Biden tried to run on it a little bit here, but Harris just absolutely abandoned it. And I think the polling shows there. I think there was like an almost 8-point drop in people 18 to 30, not switching to Republican, just not showing up to vote. That's a party that feels like there's no path forward regardless of what they're being shown by both parties.
And I did have a friend of mine who is in a union, and he was saying, like, he voted for Kamala, but he also said, look, I'm a working class guy, seeing her, bounce around with Beyonce and going on Call Your Daddy, which, by the way, I didn't even know. I didn't know Call Your Daddy was like a sex podcast, and she just talks about her sexcapades. Like, that's kind of weird too to me. Like, that was the one she like.
Maybe Kamala didn't know either.
Jeez.
Yeah. I didn't know that. Yeah. I sure had no idea. There were a lot of questionable. Yeah.
Yeah, this is sort of weird.
But don't you think, Ben? I don't know. All those things are factors. True enough, but to me, it's just the most essential thing was just the fact that she was a woman. And
I hear what you're saying, and I will not ignore that as a fact at all. I think race and sex most certainly played a role in what was going on here. Mm-hmm. But just from my perspective, someone who was 13 years old when 9/11 happened, who Dick Cheney is cartoonishly evil in my world, right? Because if you're an adult and that's happening, you have one perspective. If you're 14 years old and you're learning about what he's doing, you completely embody that in a different way. Yeah. And then to 20 years later, see the Harris campaign marching around with that individual. I don't know. I feel like it was an intentional effort. You look at Michigan, 102,000 people voted uncommitted in the primary when Biden was the candidate, and she lost by 82,000. That's an old white dude who actually was doing worse than she was, and it's pretty much exclusively as a result of Palestine. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of things connecting here, a lot of things that were outright ignored by the Democratic Party, and there's an extra layer of frustration because no one likes a Monday morning quarterback. Right. But I was highlighting this on my show for a year and a half, highlighting that Joe Biden's telling us Bidenomics is working. Meanwhile, anyone my age is struggling right now. Yeah. I think there's an economy for people above 40, an economy for people below 40. And the faster Democrats catch on to that as well, The GDP is great. The inflation rate can be great. Unemployment can be low. And 3 out of 5 people are struggling to go paycheck to paycheck, regardless of who the president is. That was true in 2019, and it's true in 2024.
Is it useful to, I mean, because, we've talked about this in the consolidation of wealth, that I mentioned this earlier, that 40% of Americans are fighting over 6% of the wealth in this country. How much money we've flooded to the top. But, I mean, explaining that doesn't help anybody unless you can tell them how we fix it. And I don't know how we fix it unless Democrats are in office. And I don't know how we get Democrats into office unless they have the money to run on. This is, I think that Democrats, like what you're hearing me express, are afraid to not have the money in order to get the message out there.
Yeah, I think they're more afraid of being portrayed as extremists. Like, really think about what you just said. It is, in political discourse, it is more extreme to say we should tax the 700 billionaires at 75% and redistribute the wealth. That is a more extreme statement than 3 people have as much as 50% of America's population, and that's the system working as normal. Democrats have essentially been pigeonholed into running. Kamala Harris, please make no mistake about it, Kamala Harris is running on Reaganomics. 28% tax rates for corporations and the wealthy. Donald Trump is running on 15%, which is still, that's even worse than what was being proposed. But when Kamala Harris, who's running as a quote-unquote, she's billed as a socialist, she's billed as some hyper-progressive woman, is running on Reaganomics, this is why they're not buying the messaging, is because it is a status quo that no longer works for such a large percentage. Young people carried us through 16, 20, 22, and 23. There were long lines outside of Eau Claire, UW Eau Claire, to vote for Janet Protasiewicz in the Supreme Court, and they all disappeared this time. That doesn't just happen. There's clearly something going on. If they're willing to show up in an April off-year Supreme Court election and not show up for the president, messaging is clearly an issue.
Yep.
Bad news. I realize I'm all bad news.
No.
But
man.
You guys are getting a glimpse of my show every day. I'm spiraling right now.
I'm with you on taxing the billionaires, and this is exactly what we talked about in the last hour was Reaganomics and how we continue to struggle and grapple with the effects of that, and destroying the middle class and really hoarding the money to the morbidly wealthy, and diminishing the power of the middle class. I agree completely. I just my son struggles with this with me too, which is that I'm just kind of like, well, this is the best we can do. I'm kind of is working with the Democrats, and he's like, no. Basically, he's like, if you're more worried about the way we avoid disaster than you are the disaster, then then the disaster is going to happen. I can't remember the quote.
Right. And I'm just saying, Trump is weak here. There's a silver lining. He's going to outstay his welcome quickly. There are MAGAs that expect actual change, and based on what he's doing, it still looks like more status quo. Well, they'll be looking for help too. You just got to provide them with one.
I think that's the thing. Just human nature is when you appeal to a fanatic, you better give the fanatic everything that they want, because anything less than everything is going to be a betrayal to them. And
then we have to keep shining a light on that. Yep.
Yeah.
Right, and then just hammer it, but then you can't turn around and be like, here's Mark Cuban as our answer. Like, that can't be the answer.
What you got against Mark Cuban? No, I'm just...
Well, Ben, let folks know how they can find out more about your show and all the things that they should know about you.
Yeah, you can catch it on WHBY. There's an app. Just search WHBY. You can also listen on Spotify, all those places. I'm on Twitter, too, @BenCominos. Patty, I got to say live on the air, I apologize. I didn't bring my phone in the studio. You were supposed to come on today, and I totally blew it. I normally have great guests like Patty, but unfortunately,
okay. Hey, no worries, my friend. We'll catch you. Ben will be on with us every other week, so I believe that's bi-monthly.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so I'll talk to you. I'll be on his show, and he'll be on my show.
Okay.
And
throwing the Steelers in our face.
Whatever it takes. Well, have a wonderful Thanksgiving, my friend.
Yeah, you too. And Dwayne, it was nice meeting you over the phone here.
You as well, Ben. Good
Take
to
care.
Talk to you. Yeah.
Bye, Ben.
All right, take it easy, guys.
You too. Thank you. When we come back, we're going to check in with our friend Tennessee Brando. He's got a new song called Cheaper, and we'll hear more of that when we come back. In studio with Dwayne Kennedy. He'll be at the Lincoln Lodge this Friday. You can go to thelincolnlodge.com for more information.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
There's no better way to defend democracy in front of your fascist Republican friends than with a cold progressive beer from the Minocqua Brewing Company of Wisconsin. So head on over to Beer on the Wall in Schaumburg, Doty Liquors in Elmhurst, Captain Jack's Beverages in Worth, or the Wilmette Market to pick up a 4-pack or couple 2-3 of MAGA Tears IPA today. Don't forget to drink and vote responsibly.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez on WCPT 820.
I've got music for this segment because Tennessee Brando joins me and Dwayne Kennedy on the line. Hey, Tennessee, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. How about you, Patty?
I'm okay, just hanging on for dear life.
Yeah, I think we all are.
Before I play your song, let me just I haven't had a chance to connect with you since the election. How are you, really?
Well, I'm like you. I'm just hanging on at the moment. Still trying to wrap my mind around everything and see where we go from here.
Yeah, because one of the let's play your song because this is something that there's so many people are talking about what we traded in exchange, what a lot of Americans traded in exchange for their pocketbooks. Tell us a little bit about this song that you wrote and what you want folks to know.
Well, first of all, I hate that I had to write it.
Yeah.
I really, the situation, I would have much rather just been writing more of my funny satirical type tunes, but like after it all started sinking in, and I saw everyone flexing at me and and bragging about winning, it was like everybody seemed to have this idea that suddenly their grocery bills was going to be cheaper and everything was going to be made great again, And I just started saying, even if that was true, you guys have sold all this out for what you think is going to be cheaper eggs, And I was talking to my mom and was just talking about it, and I was like, well, when they scream we didn't vote for this, I'll remind them that they did, and I'll tell them they sold it. And then I thought to myself, that'd be a good line for a song, and I just wrote it.
All right.
It was pretty fun.
Let's listen to It's Cheaper Eggs by Tennessee Brando.
The red hats are flexing. They're all acting thrilled. They don't know how tariffs work, but soon they sure will. They think their leader saved them and he's restored their faith. But we see they cut their noses off to spite their own face. They sold out their daughters and they threw away their friends on a senseless notion it could all be great again. When they scream we didn't vote for this, remind them yes you did. And ask them how it's going with them cheaper eggs. We pointed out the obvious, they called us a liar. Got their information straight from a dumpster fire. Now they're turning up the hatred and they're thumping on their chest for a man who wouldn't wipe his nose on their Sunday best. They pinned all their faith on the devil's coat. So now is the time they can all sit back and gloat. But once the dust settles and reality creeps in, they'll slowly realize the true enemy within. But they sold out their daughters and they threw away their friends on a senseless notion it could all be great again. When they scream we didn't vote for this, remind them yes you did. And ask them how it's going with those cheaper eggs.
That's Tennessee Brando with Cheaper Eggs. And Tennessee, so many parts of that resonate with me because I'm seeing this unfold on social media today, as a matter of fact. There's a comedy promoter and booker who I've worked with for over 22 years. And he got into it with somebody who was very public, a Latina who was very Trumpy, in their face about it, like mocked him afterwards and all this stuff. And then other people are jumping in and I'm watching comics, like I book shows too, and I'm like, I'm not booking that guy, like this other person again for events. Yeah. And to your point, like you voted for this, you want to, and are you noticing? I mentioned this in the last segment with Ben Cominos that I'm noticing not just the chest thumping, but like they're like angrier somehow at us now, even though they won everything. And I suspect it's because they thought they were going to have a chance to be violent, and they don't know what to do with that energy now.
I feel the same way. It's been so weird. I've had more hate mail since the election.
Yes.
And I even had like a death threat since the election. And I'm thinking to myself, like, why you guys won? Why are you so mad?
Yes.
Why are you so angry all of a sudden? I feel the same way. It's almost like they didn't get. I think they thought it was going to be the same thing again. They thought it was going to happen again. Because even Trump on election night at the start was already crying it was rigged. Like early in the night, he was crying. He was saying that. And then it went their way, and you would think they would just jump for joy and that'd be the end of it. But it was like, no, it was like all of a sudden the hate and the anger got worse, and I don't understand that at all.
I called it the last segment, and you're welcome to the title if you want, because I don't have anything for it. It's unfulfilled, rage, and I call it violence blue balls.
Yeah.
That could be the title of your next comedy album.
That's Yeah. They don't know where to put it. And the other thing, and I don't know if you've seen this, Dwayne, or if maybe Tennessee, you've seen this. By the way, Tennessee Brando, you can find him on YouTube. He's got a great channel. You can find him on all the social media. Follow him, stay up to date on all the great songs. But there was this, at the beginning, there were all these videos of these Trump women, white women, who were saying that they're threatening to beat us on the streets, right? Like pre-victimizing themselves. They had no videos of anyone saying that they were going to beat on Trump white women, and they were pre-victimizing themselves. Did you see any of that?
I haven't heard that.
No, I haven't seen that. But they definitely have that victim mentality, and now they have it more than ever, and it's just really, really weird.
It is very strange. And the thing that's happening too, because we're not in the middle of the campaign anymore, so there's some stories that are sort of not getting as much attention. I don't know if you saw this out of Georgia. I was telling Dwayne this earlier. One of the women that we talked about during the campaign who died after she was not allowed to have the kind of care that she needed during her miscarriage. She went to sepsis and died. When the committee that came back and said there were two women, including her, that their deaths could have been preventable if it were not for the abortion ban. So they fired everyone on the committee.
Yeah.
And then in Texas, another woman, and there are these maternal mortality committees that are not actually capturing the number of women that are dying because of the abortion bans. Like they're not checking during an autopsy whether or not they were with child. Like they're not checking those boxes. And these are the things that are going to continue to happen. And people just seem quite okay with the body count. They're hiding the bodies.
Yeah, I did a whole video on that subject because it was so alarming to me that, first of all, it's alarming that it's happened, and second of all, now that if you report it, you could be fired and silenced for even saying it.
Yes.
And I don't think people realize that's another reason kind of why I wrote the song. I think they got caught up in this show. It's almost like they got caught up in a reality show. They got caught up just cheering for their guy to win so hard they don't realize the circumstances that's coming. They don't realize how it's going to come back to haunt them too. And I sometimes wonder when it does come around and the reality starts to set in, will they ever come to their senses, or will they just turn it and blame it on us? Or
you know what? I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
What just occurred to me as you all were talking about that is I wonder if the violence and the hostility is ramped up because somehow deep down, almost the moment that Trump was declared the winner, they almost know it doesn't bring any gratification because they know it really hasn't changed their lives at all.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
And what are you hearing? Because Ben Comino said that he's talked to some Trump supporters who don't like the choices that Trump is making for the cabinet. They're not. They don't think that this is going in the right direction already. It's only been 2 weeks. What are you hearing in Tennessee?
Well, it's funny you guess that because it's the people that the people within Project 2025, they're all thrilled with all his picks. And, then we've seen Matt Gaetz already go sideways.
Right.
And so, I don't know. It's really it's funny to sit back and watch them now get mad at, like, he ain't even got there yet, and they're already starting to, like, turn on one another.
Yeah.
I've been trying to find the silver lining in all this, and the only thing I can think of is, like, now, I mean, they got it. They got everything they ever wanted. So if they deliver on promises, they're gonna really offend a whole lot of people, and if they don't, they're gonna offend a whole lot of people.
Yeah.
So, that's the only thing I can think of to say that got any kind of silver lining, honestly, is this may be what ends up, they'll break themselves, is what I'm trying to say.
I think, you know what, I think that's inevitable, because actually I think they weren't driven by any sort of ideology. They were driven by nihilism, and they're still nihilists, you know?
Yeah.
So now it's just, so a nihilist just goes until everything is destroyed, whatever it is.
Yes, exactly. And the other thing, people talk about FAFO, F around and find out. They're not going to find out. It'll never be of their own doing.
No.
That'll never register for them. They'll never internalize that.
Right.
Ever.
Right. And almost like the chaos is the point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, they thrive off of that.
Yeah, they thrive off of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and me and a friend of mine was talking yesterday about, okay, let's just say that Trump did get in and accomplish everything he said he was going to. Let's say mass deported people. He did everything that he said he was going to do. Then where's the chaos and where's the enemy?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do they run on then?
Right.
What do they run on next if every boogeyman they created was gone?
Right.
I think they thrive off that chaos. You know?
And always having to have something to be against, and having something out there lingering that stirs your fear.
Yeah. And Tennessee, how do you actually something that strikes me is that I think there's got to be, I want to communicate to folks that we know that bad things are going to happen. I don't want to dismiss anything or make anyone feel like we aren't taking into consideration how dangerous it is for everybody. I do also want to say that find the ways to feel safe, whether that's taking action or, finding your community of people that, you feel safe around. What are some of the things that you do in Tennessee? Because you are surrounded.
Oh, man. Yeah, I am. I've got my friends here, and there's a lot of good people here. There really is. Sometimes I know Tennessee always makes a fool of themselves on the national stage, but there's good people here. I've got a good circle of friends, but I do avoid certain places. I do grocery online pickup. I don't like going to the stores.
Wow.
Because I've developed a pretty big following on YouTube, and everybody around here knows who I am. I'm in a small town, so they all know me. And they used to know me from playing music down at the bar, and they used to see me in the store like, hey, when you playing the bar again? I'm like, I'll be there this Friday. Come see me. Now it's like they walk by and don't even acknowledge me.
Wow.
It's but then I can go visit out in California, and I'm getting high-fived and fist-bumped on the street. So, I just try to, stay within my circle of friends and just kind of lay low, if I'm being honest.
Hey, Tennessee, did you start out as a left-wing progressive songwriter, or did that something that evolved, or how did that happen?
I've always been to the left. I've always voted that way and always been that way. But years ago, when I started off writing songs and bands, I think if people was listening close enough to my lyrics, they could definitely tell what side of the aisle I fell on. It's just that I sort of let the music do the talking, and I said certain things through characters, that way. And then, I don't know, once Trump came into the picture and everything, it was like you couldn't be quiet about it anymore.
Right.
And that's when it went more, and I just found a way to kind of make the songs more satirical and that way. And I just started naming names. But whereas before, 10 years ago, if I wrote a song that had a political statement, I would find a way to say it without saying it all right out loud. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it just sort of evolved into me just going ahead and taking the gloves off and letting everybody know exactly where I stood.
Oh, wow. Okay. Hey, do you know that song by Woody Guthrie, Old Man Trump?
Yeah.
Oh.
I've never played it, but I do. I know the song you're referencing.
Okay. Yeah. You know about that, babe?
I do. Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing too. I think maybe that's another element is to find the art that speaks to your soul and what you want to hear from what we want to envision and embrace. So that's why it's important to elevate artists like Tennessee Brando, and I encourage you to subscribe to his YouTube channel. What are some of the places you want to direct folks?
Yeah, definitely the YouTube channel. That's where I do most of my content from. But I've made it over to Blue Sky.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm over there on it now, Tennessee Brando. You can find me on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, which I don't post as much to TikTok as I used to. Mainly YouTube and Blue Sky these days. And so, yeah.
Excellent. Well, always great to talk to you, and always look forward to hearing your music. And please let us know. We'd love to have you back again soon, my friend.
Absolutely, anytime.
All right, stay strong.
Okay, you too.
Take care. Yeah.
Keep your head on a swivel.
That's right. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Have a good night, my friend. Take care.
You too.
And happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Take care. Let's take a break here. We'll wrap up when we come back on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal. I'm in studio with Dwayne Kennedy, who is performing this Friday at the Lincoln Lodge. You can go to thelincolnlodge.com. And I'm sorry for my friends in Minneapolis, St. Paul, but we'll find out in the next few weeks whether or not he and Kamau Bell will be touring in your neck of the woods in Minnesota. More in a moment. That's our friends listening on KTNF AM 950.
Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive.
The 5 years I have been here doing the show have been some of the most interesting and fascinating and rewarding of my life, certainly of my professional life. This station is a gift, and it is a way for us to come together and to fight for the things we believe in.
Joan Esposito, weekday afternoons 2 to 5 on WCPT 820.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
Listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez on WCPT 820.
We are hanging out and about to round out our show right now. Hanging out with me in studio is comedian Dwayne Kennedy, who will be performing at the Lincoln Lodge this Friday over by there on Milwaukee. What's the cross street? Milwaukee and is it by
Western?
Is it Western?
I think so.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I feel like it's
Ashland. No,
Ashland.
you're right. You're right, Patty.
I was at Griffin's. Griffin goes to school on the South Side, and he directed this play called The Arsonists. Right, It's about these Nazis sort of infiltrating, or people who want to, Nazis. Basically weaseling their way into this guy's home. They're starting fires all over this community to disrupt and to take control of the community. And he's been working on this for a while. At any rate, so some of the special effects, it's part lighting and fog machine for smoke and stuff like that, right? So the play wraps up. They do their curtain call. The performers get flowers and their stage crew and all, and we're all applauding them. And then the fire alarm goes off.
For real?
For real. The whole building had to be evacuated. Oh. Griffin said that it was someone playing a prank or something pulled, because it's a big building. It's got other performance spaces in it.
Okay.
And so everybody had to evacuate the building. And I have video of the fire. I'm like, this is, come on.
Right.
I was like, that's good. That's
Did you write that?
What? Like at the end of, I saw Little Shop of Horrors at the Goodman, not the Goodman Theater, the Royal George Theater in the 90s.
George.
Yeah, and at the end of Little Shop of Horrors, they have when the plant takes over, the tendrils come down from the ceiling, you were being devoured by the plant. That was really cool.
Okay,
so I thought it was that. I was like, oh, that's really good.
Right. You're creative, Griffin. Yeah.
Now if he ever does it again, it was phenomenal, professional level. So good. Yeah.
How do you, is he auditioning? Anybody?
I think it's just for students now.
Who books that?
Yeah, right. We are like
who books that play?
Well, that's the thing. These students were phenomenal, too.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, I'm not saying that the direction was great. These actors were fantastic.
Now, were they students?
Yeah.
Of University of Chicago?
Yep.
It's funny, I mean, I don't know what people think. I don't think of University of Chicago as a liberal arts place for people to go. I think of people to go to become writers, but not necessarily to become actors.
Right. And I think that's probably, I mean, like they go to DePaul. Like for Chicago, they go to Northwestern, DePaul. Yeah.
Right. Columbia, exactly.
Yeah. But I think that and for him, it's not his major, but it's an outlet of expression. And he's been acting since he was in fourth grade. Let me tell you a quick. Have I ever told you this story about the Walmart commercial? When Griffin was in kindergarten, I got a call from my agent, and they were like, "Hey, you have kids, right?" And I told them the ages. They said, "Can you bring your 5-year-old?" So I bring Griffin to the audition, and Griffin. It was a Christmas commercial, and Griffin always opened presents along the tape line, so he's very meticulous about it. So he charmed the casting directors, right? So they call me, and they call us for a callback, and this time they give him a gift bag, and he rips it open, and he gives me a hug. He's all excited. They call me the next day and they go, "Hey, Patty, you and Griffin are on hold," right? Which is cool, only I know that they're still thinking about somebody else. And I put down the phone, I go, "You know what? I know what's going to happen." I said, "They're going to pick Griffin and not me." And they called back and they go, "Patty, we have good news and we have bad news. We've cast Griffin as the principal, but they're casting someone else as the mom." And so I was on set with Griffin, and the casting director comes over to me and she goes, "I'm so sorry." She's like, "You did a great job." She goes, "You were my choice." She said, "But the client for Walmart didn't think you looked enough like the child." The only thing in my entire career in this audition, all I had to do was look like my own child.
And you flunked.
Are you kidding me?
You flunked the audition to be your own child's mother.
Yes. And the woman they got was like, she was like Germanic looking, had like a square jaw. Because Griffin has dishwater blonde hair. Like he has lighter skin than me, and he has brown eyes. And
right.
She was white.
Wow.
That's all I'm saying. Yeah. That's how you know this business is not. I mean, like, come on.
Yeah, I mean,
come on.
This business is run not by liberals, and it's just
Yeah.
They go to archetypes and stereotypes and what people can immediately identify.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that perpetuates itself.
Yeah. Although it was 16 years ago. Now they do multiracial families.
They absolutely do.
Yeah. So I was too.
Then
early.
you wouldn't have made it because you wouldn't have been dark enough.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's been my whole career.
Yeah.
Lady B, thank you so much.
Lady
thank you
B,
so much.
good to see you.
Thank you. Dwayne will be back tomorrow along with our good friend Mike Crowley to do some movie reviews. Of course, I'll be talking about Home for the Holidays. If you're looking for a Thanksgiving movie, the best Thanksgiving movie is Home for the Holidays. There could be others. I'm not sure. And then we'll have Tom Appel and Warren Price will be here. Randy Rhodes is up next, followed by Matt McNeil. Bye, everybody.